Now, second question. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Hippie's all business here, Michael. He's like, yes, next question.
All right, so
Jump
the
in,
next
buddy.
question is, when we talk about implied,
Say it again if we're
a
talking about what?
PD array being implied. A PD array being implied,
Oh, implied. Okay, I'm sorry.
right? How, we have inversions, right? Now, what is the logic behind an implied PD array? Because I mean, you
Phenomenal
briefly
question.
touched about implied fair value gaps. But what is like the true logic behind a PD array being implied?
When you would expect a clear, visually represented imbalance, like a fair value gap, but there's wicks overlapping both sides of it, that would be an implied fair value gap. In other words, it's not standing in the chart like it would be isolated, this one single delivered candle, higher or lower. It would be a range of wicks in that area. And you could cut right through all of that and see what would be otherwise if those wicks didn't exist. That would be a fair value gap. They're not as strong as one that would be obvious and sitting right in front of you as a single delivered candle that only shows one direction and supporting everything after that price candle forms. So implied is where it could be in price action, but it's masked by wicks. And by having that, it's just, think of it like in terms of its importance, it's much like a volume imbalance. Volume imbalance forces you to be flexible with it. It's not as hardline as a bullish fair value gap that gets traded to the downside when bearish. Then you know what it's going to act as. It's a very finite thing. You expect it to stay in the lower half, keep bodies out of the upper half. So that means it's more specific. It's more finite in the expectancy because you demand it to act as a premium array to send prices lower. Implied is it could, but don't be surprised if it fails. So it's not as strong. It's not in the grand scheme of things. If we rated things like some of you guys ask for all the time, it's like, can you rate the strongest PD array? In what's the most important PD array? Implied and volume imbalances share very similar characteristics, but the weakest in terms of requiring flexibility on the part of a trader using it, the volume imbalance, because it can go back and forward, through it multiple times. Implied has many similar characteristics to that, but when it works, it's very strong, and it literally will surprise you as to why it just reacted there. And it takes a lot more than the scope of our conversation and what we have in terms of time here, but that's as close as I can get in the scope and time that we have here to address it.
I love that. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate it.
So the PD arrays all have some level of rules, and the implied rules are just a little more flexible.
Well, think about like an implied dealing range, an unrealized dealing range. You're looking at something that technically isn't even in the chart yet.
Right.
But if you know where it's going to draw to, and if the markets are algorithmic, then you can scale that range that has yet to be delivered to if it's going to go to that target. And you can reasonably grade where those next PD arrays are going to form based on the lower quadrant, consequent encroachment, upper quadrant, and now you have the occupancy incorporate. So it gives you a depth of market that is unique, and you don't need the gimmicks that they talk about with level 2.
That is such a great way of explaining it. The implied, unrealized occurrences within the market and within the algorithmic environments that we're trading, right? So the implied is the yet to occur or something that might be there hidden, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's an underlying
Beneath the surface
layer,
Yep.
right? Underlying layer